Hey, gentlemen. Welcome back to Geography. Today we're going to be talking about the regions of North America. The notes for this, if you're doing your homework, should go on page 7. And then the title of this lesson is 1.4 Regions of North America. To get into the nitty gritty, this is what we're going to be overviewing today. We're going to look at 5 regions of North America and identify where they are on this great continent. And then we're also going to discuss the largest watershed on our continent, which is the Mississippi River, which of course is the main river that the Ohio River and even the Missouri River are tributaries of. We're going to start with the western side of North America. The western U.S. is the most rugged section of the United States and of Canada. The dark green here on the map sort of draw that border between the Great Plains and then the Rocky Mountains. Those Rocky Mountains and the areas on both sides of the Rockies we consider sort of the western U.S. or western North America. There are some notable mountain ranges like the Rocky Mountains, the largest mountains on this continent, while we also have some coastal mountains like the Cascades, which run down the west coast in the northwest. And then we also have things like the Sierra Nevada mountain range down here in California, and several notable deserts in the American Southwest. In between the Rockies and the coastal ranges, this is called the Great Basin and Range. The Great Basin and Range has some of the most famous landmarks in the United States, including things like Arches National Park, and then, of course, the Grand Canyon. So in this slide, I've highlighted some of those mountain ranges. The Sierras and the Cascades are on the coast, while the Rockies are the largest in the country. The Basin and Range is that series of valleys and smaller mountain ranges in between the Rockies and the coastal ranges. And then we have several notable deserts that occupy the American Southwest. The Great Plains are the second region we'll look at. If you look at the map down here in the bottom right-hand corner, you have the general area that the Great Plains covers. We consider the Great Plains the breadbasket of America because it is home to most of North America's agriculture. So any grain-based food, corn being a predominant one, is grown here in the center of the country. It also contains most of America's oil and natural gas. Places like the Dakotas would be well known for the amount of natural gas and oil that has been discovered there, even in the last few years. And then, of course, there's more famous places like Texas, where we know that there's oil rigs as well. The Great Plains and this temperate grassland that makes up the center of the country is considered the largest biome in North America. It extends all the way into northern Canada and even stretches down into the very northern parts of Mexico. It's an enormous region of North America. The third region we're going to focus on is the Canadian Shield. The Canadian Shield covers a few U.S. states, Minnesota, Michigan, New York, being some examples of those U.S. states that it covers. But for the most part, it covers Canada, as the name would suggest. It is a flattened out plateau, technically, that was carved out by glaciers. So there is not a very thick soil. It's not good for agriculture. But there are hardy trees, mostly pine trees, that are going to be able to survive in thin, rocky soil. And there's also an abundance of lakes in this region. A vast majority of North America's lakes are found in the Canadian Shield. The next section is called the Eastern region. We are part of the Eastern region, so it's something that you all are familiar with. Part of the Eastern region, especially near us, are low eroded mountains called the Appalachian Mountains. Those would occupy the eastern half of Kentucky, as well as states like North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, even down to Georgia and Alabama. We also have the Atlantic coastal plains that make up part of the eastern region. If you go east of the Appalachians, The landscape flattens out. Much of the northern half of the continent, those coastal plains would be rocky. They could still be used for farming. And as you move further south, especially into Florida, it transitioned into a coastal wetland. So the picture in the bottom right, that's a overhead picture of the Everglades, which are a large, swampy flatland that make up the very southeasternmost part of the country. The Everglades have a tremendous amount of diversity of plant and wildlife. It is a very unique region within the eastern region. So if we look at this map, we have the Great Plains divided off by the western region over here. So anything obviously to the left is considered west. And our eastern region is going to extend up and include the eastern woodlands and the southeast on this map. The Canadian Shield is just up here to the north. Now, the last region in North America we have to focus on is the Caribbean. So if you go southeast of Florida, we have over 7,000 islands that make up the Caribbean region of North America. The Caribbean region is a series of coral reefs. And if you didn't know what a reef was, a reef is jagged rock, coral, or sand that is just below or above the surface of, or the sea level or the surface of water. Um, the most famous coral reef in the world would be the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia. The Caribbean might be right there at number 2. In North America, this has the greatest diversity of plant and animal life. Obviously, it's aquatic animal life, but still, we're talking about a huge chunk of species that make the Caribbean their home. So we have our 5 regions of North America, and we also have one notable river I wanted to highlight. That's the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is the 4th largest river in the world. So the river and its tributaries are here on the map. There are 3 continents with larger river networks than North America. The Nile is the largest. That's located in Africa. The Amazon in South America is number 2. The Yangtze River in Asia is number 3. That's going to be the predominant river in China. Then the Mississippi River in the Mississippi River Basin is number 4. So that's a brief summary of the regions of North America. We'll be talking about these in groups in class, and you can always refer back to this video for a reference point. Go Rocks, take state.